Welcome back to the deep dive. I hope you're sitting comfortably, or, maybe you're out for a run or driving to work. Wherever you are, I want to take you somewhere else entirely.
A little transportation.
A little transportation. I want you to picture this with me. It's late 2012. We are in Istanbul.
Istanbul. Wow. I mean, what a city. One of the most sensory-rich places on the entire planet.
Absolutely. You've got the sights, the smells, the beautiful chaos of it all. And we are just a few blocks away from Istiklal Caddesi. If you've never been, just imagine Times Square, but with like thousands of years of history.
Right.
Narrow streets, the smell of roasting chestnuts is everywhere, and there's just this sea of people. There's this incredible electric energy. And we're zooming in right into this old atmospheric apartment building. You can just picture it. High ceilings, worn wooden floors.
Yeah, the kind of place that has seen a century of conversations.
Yeah.
It has stories in the wall.
Exactly. And in the middle of this room, sitting in this worn-out armchair, is a guy named Mike. Now, Mike is a really interesting character. He's from Maine originally.
Oh, wow. A long way from home.
A very long way from home. Just a regular guy. But he's been living in Turkey for about 5 years at this point. And he's essentially acting as a tour guide for the author of the material we're looking at today. But on this specific night, it's not a tour. It's a dinner party.
Ah, classic social gathering. A bit more relaxed.
Right. So you've got the author, you've got Mike, and then there are about, 5 or 6 of Mike's Turkish friends. So 7 people in total, all kind of squeezed into this living room. And the author, being the observer that he is, he looks around the room and he realizes something really distinct. It's heavy in the air.
Let me guess. Cigarette smoke.
Thick clouds of it. I mean, Turkey has a massive smoking culture, especially back then. But here is the observation. This is the thing that really struck him. He realizes that out of the 7 people in that room, he is the only one who has never smoked a pack a day at some point in his life.
Wow. Every single other person?
Every single other person there, Mike, all the Turkish friends, they had all been heavy smokers at one point or another.
Which, I guess, isn't that surprising given the location and the culture. But that immediately prompts the question, doesn't it?
It prompts the obvious question. He turns to one of the Turkish guys and just asks, how did you get started? I mean, nobody comes out of the womb craving nicotine, right?
Yeah, it's a learned behavior.
And the friend just kind of shrugs and says, friends. It always starts with your friends. Yeah. One friend smokes, then you try it.
It's the classic peer pressure ripple effect. It's mimicry. We are wired to mimic the people around us, especially when we're young.
But hold on, because here's the twist. This isn't just a story about peer pressure. As the night goes on, it comes out that while everyone had been a smoker, half of the people in the room had actually managed to quit.
Okay, now that's interesting.
Specifically Mike, the guy from Maine. He had been a chimney for years, he said, and now, nothing. Totally clean.
And that is a huge statistical anomaly. I mean, quitting smoking is notoriously one of the hardest behavioral changes a human being can possibly make. The relapse rates are they're astronomical.
They really are. So the author asks him, the natural follow-up, how did you do it? Was it the gum, the patch?
Yeah.
Did you just white-knuckle it with pure willpower? And Mike just shakes his head. He swears up and down that it was not willpower. He says it was a book.
Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And you have to listen to how Mike describes it. He doesn't say, oh, it gave me tips on how to distract myself. He says, it freed me from the mental burden.
The mental burden? That's a very specific phrasing.
Isn't it? He told the author, the book tells you to stop lying to yourself. You know you don't actually want to smoke. You know you don't really enjoy this. It helps you realize that you aren't the victim. You're the jailer.
Wow. That is a profound shift in perspective. And it highlights exactly why we're talking about this today. This isn't a deep dive into smoking cessation, right? We don't really care about cigarettes specifically.
Not at all.
What we care about is the mechanism Mike used.
He hacked his own brain.
He did. He bridged that gap between a physical addiction and a psychological narrative. He went in and he rewrote the code.
And that is our mission for this deep dive. We are going to tear apart the machinery of why we do what we do. We're going to look at the psychology behind cravings and how to essentially reprogram the brain's predictions. Because if Mike can reprogram a nicotine addiction in an apartment in Istanbul,
then you can probably reprogram your desire to doom scroll on your phone at 2 in the morning.
Exactly. Or your aversion to the gym, or your anxiety about making that sales call. It's all the same machinery.
We are dissecting what the source material calls the second law of behavior change. The core idea is make it attractive to build a good habit, and its inversion, make it unattractive to break a bad one. But to do that, we have to understand what attraction actually means to, this bundle of neurons inside our skulls.
We have some incredibly dense source material today, charts, neurological breakdowns, a lot of evolutionary psychology. So let's unpack this. I want to start with something that, honestly, I kind of struggled with when I first read the notes. It's this distinction between what we think we want and what we actually want.
Ah, the surface craving versus the deep motive.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's use a really low-stakes example from the text. Tacos.
Tacos, I'm listening.
Yes, tacos.
Yeah.
Bear with me on this. I love tacos. If I'm walking down the street and I see a taco truck and I turn to you and say, man, I have a craving for a taco, that feels like a complete thought.
It does. It feels very specific.
It feels like a specific surface-level desire for a tortilla with some meat and cheese and salsa. But the source material suggests I'm wrong, or at least that I'm being superficial.
Well, you're not wrong that you want the taco. The desire is absolutely real. But you are mistaking the manifestation for the motive. This is the crucial distinction we have to make. If you want to understand any human behavior, you have to look past the object itself.
Okay, explain that. Because in that moment, I'm pretty sure I just want the salty crunch and the hot sauce.
Of course. Think of it like an iceberg. The surface level craving, the taco, that's the little bit sticking out of the water. It's the specific cultural artifact your brain has latched onto. But if I put you on a therapy couch and just kept asking why do you want the taco, you wouldn't eventually say, because I need caloric energy to survive the coming winter.
No, I'd say because it tastes good. That's as far as I'd get.
But why does it taste good? Why did evolution wire your brain to release a little squirt of dopamine when salt and fat and sugar hit your tongue?
Because.
Yeah.
I guess because calories were scarce in our evolutionary past, or
Yeah.
they were hard to come by.
Exactly. Deep down, biologically, the underlying motive is survival. Your brain is hardwired to obtain food and energy while expending as little effort as possible. The taco is just the modern, incredibly efficient delivery system for that ancient need.
So my brain doesn't actually care about tacos as a concept. It cares about fuel. And it has learned through experience that taco truck equals high-density, delicious fuel source.
Precisely. And this applies to absolutely everything. The source material makes a really bold point here that I think trips a lot of people up. Your brain did not evolve with a desire to smoke cigarettes.
Right.
It didn't evolve with a desire to check Instagram or play Call of Duty or scroll through TikTok videos for hours. Those things didn't exist in the ancestral environment. They are brand new.
That makes sense. I mean, you can't picture a caveman sitting in a cave 50,000 years ago suffering from nicotine withdrawal or wondering why he didn't get enough likes on his latest cave painting.
Right. But that caveman did have deep, fundamental underlying motives. The hardware in our skulls hasn't really changed in 50,000 years. Only the software and the user interface have. The text lists a few of these. Let's call them the ancient 7 motives. I think we should go through them because this is basically the operating system of humanity. Let's do it. So these are the hard-coded drives that push us to do literally everything we do.
First one, and this is a big one, conserve energy.
Ah, laziness.
It's not laziness, it's efficiency. Laziness isn't a character flaw, it's a survival strategy. If you burn too many calories running around for no reason in the Paleolithic era, you starved. You died. Your genes didn't get passed on.
So when I want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix instead of going for a run, that's just my inner caveman trying to keep me alive and conserve precious fuel.
In a way, yes. Your brain is always asking, why spend energy if we don't absolutely have to? Okay, second one, obtain food and water. We just covered that with our taco. Third, find love and reproduce.
And the biological imperative, the most basic one really, passing on the genes.
Exactly. But then it gets really social. And this is where it gets interesting for modern life. Humans are pack animals. We die alone. So we have, fourth, connect and bond with others.
We need the tribe.
We need the tribe. Fifth, win social acceptance and approval. Sixth, reduce uncertainty. And finally, seventh, achieve status and prestige. Okay, I want to drill down on a few of these because reduce uncertainty really stands out to me. We don't usually talk about that as a drive in the same way we talk about hunger or sex.
It's arguably one of the most powerful modern drivers. In the wild, uncertainty meant danger. Is that wrestling in the bushes a rabbit, or is it a saber-toothed tiger? If you don't know, you're at risk. The brain craves certainty. It craves a closed loop. It wants to know the outcome of a situation.
So how does that translate to today? I mean, we aren't worried about tigers in the bushes anymore.
No, but we are worried about literally everything else. Okay, let's play a little game. I'll give you the ancient drive from the list, and you tell me the modern product or habit that hijacks it, that latches onto it.
Okay, I'm ready.
Let's start with that one. Reduce uncertainty.
Oh, that's easy. Google.
Bingo! Think about that feeling you get. You're in a conversation with friends, and you can't remember the name of that actor in that one movie from the 90s. It's like a physical itch in your brain.
It is. It's so annoying. It'll drive me crazy until I figure it out.
That feeling is the uncertainty alarm. So what do? You pull out your phone, you type in the query, and boom, the answer appears. And you feel relief. Little hit of dopamine. You have successfully reduced uncertainty. Google is a multi-trillion-dollar business because it scratches a prehistoric itch for certainty millions of times a second.
That is wild. I never thought of Googling as like an emotional crutch, but it totally is. It's a way to soothe anxiety. Okay, give me another one. What about win social acceptance and approval?
Where do you go for that?
Instagram. Posting a photo and then checking it every 5 minutes to count the likes.
Exactly. Why do we care about little red hearts on a screen? They aren't money. You can't eat them. They have no intrinsic value. But to the ancient brain, social approval meant I am safe in the tribe.
Right.
If the tribe approves of me, they won't banish me to the wolves. They'll share their food with me. Instagram directly monetizes our deep-seated fear of banishment.
Okay, what about connect and bond with others?
Facebook or WhatsApp or sending memes back and forth to your group chat. It's modern-day social grooming. It's the equivalent of monkeys picking fleas off each other. It's just saying, I am here, you are there, we are still a group, our bond is intact.
And achieve status and prestige.
Video games are a perfect example here. Why do people spend thousands of hours grinding away in an RPG to get a shiny set of virtual armor that doesn't actually exist?
To show it off to other players, to be at the top of the leaderboard.
Status, prestige, it sends a signal. I am competent, I am powerful, I am better at this than you are. The brain can't really tell the difference between achieving status in a virtual world and achieving status in the tribal hierarchy. The neurochemistry is almost identical.
So the big insight here is that we aren't creating new desires. Apple and Facebook and McDonald's. They didn't invent new human needs. They just built much, much better mousetraps for the same old mice.
That's a quote directly from the source. Your current habits are just the modern-day solutions to ancient desires, new versions of old vices.
This brings up a really empowering point from the source material, though. It's the idea of multiple solutions.
Yes. This is where we start to see a path out of bad habits. This is the hopeful part.
Because if the core problem is, I feel stressed or I need to reduce uncertainty, there isn't just one single way to fix that, is there?
Exactly right. There are many different ways to address the same underlying motive. One person might learn to reduce their stress by smoking a cigarette. That's their learned solution. Another person might learn to ease their anxiety by going for a run.
So the smoking isn't the need. The need is stress relief. Smoking is just the method the brain has latched onto.
Exactly. And this is so crucial. Your current habits are not necessarily the best way to solve the problems you face. They're just the methods you learn to use.
Oh?
Maybe when you were 18, like the guys in that Istanbul story, you saw a cool older friend smoke. Your brain saw them relax and it said, oh, look, an effective strategy for stress reduction. Let's log that for future use.
It's just pattern recognition.
It is. And once your brain associates that solution, the cigarette, with the problem stress, it locks it in. It creates a little neural pathway. And you keep coming back to it, not because it's good for you, but simply because it worked once upon a time.
It's like a mental shortcut. The brain says, stress detected. Deploy cigarette protocol.
Yes. It's a heuristic. And understanding this takes so much of the shame and guilt out of it. You're not weak or broken for smoking or for overeating. You just have a somewhat clumsy strategy for a totally valid human need. You're trying to solve the right problem with the wrong tool.
I love that phrasing. You don't have to kill the need. In fact, you can't kill the need to reduce stress or find connection, but you can absolutely swap the tool you use to satisfy it.
Perfectly put. But to swap that tool effectively, we have to understand how the brain locks these tools in the first place. And for that, we need to talk about the brain as a prediction machine.
Oh, this part just it blew my mind. Because I always think of myself, and I think most people do, as reacting to the world. I touch a hot stove, I feel pain, I pull my hand away. That's a reaction. But the source text implies I'm wrong about that.
It feels reactive, but neurologically, human behavior is almost entirely predictive. The text explains that your brain is constantly 24/7, even when you're sleeping, scanning the environment, absorbing cues, and running simulations.
Simulations, like a computer running what-if scenarios.
Exactly, like a survival engine. Every single time you perceive a cue in your environment, your brain instantly runs a prediction about what to do in the next moment to ensure your survival or, just your comfort.
Wait, hold on. I want to challenge this for a second. You're saying my brain predicts the future before I act. But going back to the stove, if I touch a hot stove, I pull my hand away after I feel the pain. That has to be reactive. The pain is the cause. The pulling away is the effect.
It feels that way. But think about the physics and the biology of it. If you actually made full contact with a red-hot stove and then waited for the pain signal to travel up the nerves in your arm, reach your brain, get processed, and have the brain send a signal back down to your muscles to contract, you'd have third-degree burns. It's actually too slow. What actually happens, you see the glowing coil, that's the cue, your brain instantly, in milliseconds, accesses your memory bank. It finds all the files on red glowing things and fire and pain. It makes a prediction. If I touch that, I will suffer intense pain. The action, you don't touch it, you avoid it entirely.
So the avoidance itself is the action, and it's based on a prediction of pain, not the pain itself.
Exactly. Or think about a traffic light. The light turns green. You don't wait to be honked at from behind to know you should go. The cue is the light turning green. The prediction is, if I step on the gas now, I will move safely through this intersection and get closer to my destination. The action is you drive. We are constantly making bets on the future based on our experience of the past.
You see a cue, categorize it based on past experience, and determine the appropriate response.
That's the loop right there. And here's where it gets really subjective and personal. Because if the prediction is based on your past experience, then two people can see the exact same thing and predict totally different outcomes.
This is like the Rorschach test of habits.
It really is. The text gives the perfect example for this. A cigarette. Imagine a pack of cigarettes just sitting on a table.
Okay.
Person A is a chain smoker. They see the pack, that's the cue. Their brain accesses their specific memories, the feeling of that first drag in the morning, the relief during a stressful meeting. It predicts, relief is coming, nicotine hit, relaxation, and what do they feel in their body?
A craving, a pull towards it.
A strong craving. Okay. Now, person B is a non-smoker, or maybe they're someone whose parent died of lung cancer. They see the exact same pack of cigarettes on the table. The cue is identical, but their brain accesses a completely different set of memories. It predicts gross smell, choking cough, chemotherapy wards, sadness. And what do they feel in their body?
Repulsion, disgust. They want to get away from it.
The cue, the physical object, is identical. The atoms in the cigarette pack didn't change. The only thing that changed was the prediction, and that prediction dictated the entire habit loop.
The cause of your habits is actually the prediction that precedes them. That's a huge shift in thinking for me. We think the cigarette causes the craving, but it doesn't. The story our brain tells us about the cigarette is what causes the craving.
And that's the key. So if we want to change the habit, we don't necessarily have to hide all the cigarettes in the world, though that helps. We have to change the prediction.
We have to change the story. We have to change the interpretation, which brings us to the role of feelings, of emotion. We like to think of decision-making as this very logical, Spock-like process. But the text quotes the neuroscientist Antonio Damasio here.
Yeah, that quote is so important. It is emotion that allows you to mark things as good, bad, or indifferent.
It's really central to this whole idea.
It is. Damasio famously studied patients who had brain damage, specifically in the emotional centers of their brain. Their logic and reason centers were perfectly fine. They could do math, they could analyze data, but they couldn't make even the simplest decisions.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't feel that one option was better than another. They could list the pros and cons of eating chicken versus turkey for dinner for hours, but they couldn't actually pick one because they had no emotional marker saying, chicken tastes better, or I feel like turkey today. They were paralyzed by logic.
That is absolutely terrifying to think about.
It shows that a craving isn't just a thought, it's a specific feeling. And the text defines desire in a really interesting, almost metaphorical way. It says desire is just a difference in temperature.
A temperature analogy. I like this.
Think of a thermostat in a room. If the room is 70 degrees and the thermostat is set to 70 degrees, everything is stable. The heater stays off. You're content. But if the temperature in the room drops to 60 and you want it to be 70, now there is a gap.
A discrepancy.
A discrepancy. A gap between your current state, which is cold, and your desired state, which is warm. That gap is what creates the motivation for action. You put on a jacket, you turn up the heat. Desire is the difference between where you are now and where you want to be in the future.
So bring it back to bad habits. When I find myself doom scrolling on social media at night, I'm not really looking for news or updates. I'm feeling a gap. My current state is bored or anxious about tomorrow. My desired state is entertained or distracted.
Right.
And my brain predicts phone equals distraction. So I grab the phone to close that gap.
Precisely. You predict that checking social media will fix that uncomfortable feeling, that it will close the gap. The habit is attractive because you associate it with a positive shift in your feelings.
Okay, so we've established the entire mechanism. Let me see if I have this right. 1, we have these ancient motives that drive us. 2, we see a cue in our environment. 3, our brain makes a prediction that a certain action will satisfy one of those motives. 4, that prediction creates a feeling, which we call a craving. 5, and then we act.
That's the entire stack. You nailed it.
So now let's go back to Istanbul. Let's go back to Mike in that Alan Carr book. Because Mike hacked this stack. He didn't use willpower to just resist the craving. He dismantled the prediction so the craving never even appeared in the first place.
This is the practical application. This is where the rubber meets the road. We are looking at the inversion of the second law. Make it unattractive.
So Mike said the book worked because it freed him from the mental burden.
Think about how most people try to quit smoking. They say, I really, really want a cigarette, but I won't have one.
Right. Gritting their teeth.
It's a constant internal conflict. The desire is there. I predict this will feel good. But your willpower is acting like a dam, holding it back. That is exhausting. And eventually, when you get stressed or tired, the willpower dam breaks and the desire floods through and wins.
But Alan Carr's method, and what the source text is really advocating for here, is totally different.
It's about killing the desire itself. If you don't actually want the thing, you don't need willpower to resist it. There's nothing to resist.
And he does this through what the text calls systematic reframing.
Exactly. He systematically takes every single prediction your brain makes about smoking and he proves it wrong. He challenges every single assumption until the prediction machine has no choice but to update its software.
Okay, let's role play this a minute. I want to see if this works on me. I'll be the smoker. My brain has these locked-in positive assumptions about cigarettes. You be the Alan Carr method.
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with it. What's your first excuse? What's the story you tell yourself?
Okay, assumption number 1. I am quitting something I love. I am making a huge sacrifice. I'm losing my little friend that's always there for me.
The reframe. You are quitting nothing. You are sacrificing nothing. Cigarettes do nothing for you. They don't give you energy. They choke your lungs and sap your stamina. They don't give you freedom. They enslave you to a nicotine schedule every hour. You are losing nothing of value, and you are gaining your health, your energy, your money, and your freedom. There is no sacrifice here, only gain.
Okay, that's logical. But what about the social aspect? That's a big one. Assumption number 2. I need smoking to be social. If I don't smoke, I can't hang out with my friends on the balcony at the party. I'll be an outcast.
The reframe. You can be perfectly social without smoking. In fact, you'll be more social. Smoking doesn't make you social. Conversation makes you social. The cigarette is just a prop, a crutch. And in fact, smoking often interrupts the social connection because you're half focused on the addiction, not the person you're talking to. You don't need the prop to be a person.
Okay, here's the big one. This is the one everyone uses. Assumption number 3. It relieves my stress. I need it to calm my nerves. Life is hard, and this is the one thing that helps me cope.
This is the biggest lie of all. This is the central pillar of the addiction, the reframe. It doesn't relieve your nerves, it destroys them.
But I feel relaxed when I smoke. The feeling is real.
You feel relief. But relief from what? This is the key question. You are feeling relief from the anxiety and agitation of the nicotine withdrawal symptoms from the previous cigarette.
Wait, what?
Smoking creates the itch that it then temporarily scratches. Non-smokers don't walk around with that baseline level of agitation all day. When you smoke, you are just returning to the state of peace that non-smokers feel all the time. You are paying money to briefly relieve a stress that the cigarette itself created an hour ago.
Whoa. That's diabolical. It's like wearing shoes that are 2 sizes too small all day just so you can feel the incredible pleasure of taking them off at night.
That is the perfect analogy. And once you see that, once you truly internalize that the cigarette isn't the cure for the stress, it's the cause of the stress, the prediction flips entirely. Before, cigarette equals relief. Now, cigarette equals the cause of my constant anxiety.
And if the brain predicts cause of stress, The craving just vanishes. You've successfully made it unattractive.
If you no longer expect smoking to bring you any benefits, you have no reason to smoke. It's that simple.
This is so powerful because it feels like a magic trick, but it's just cognitive restructuring. You are literally editing the source code of your own brain. And the best part is, we can flip this entire logic around. We can use the same machinery to build good habits.
Yes. If breaking a bad habit is all about making it unattractive, which is the inversion of the law, then building a good habit is about applying the second law directly. Make it attractive.
And sometimes making something attractive is as simple as changing a single word, a tiny little vocabulary shift.
This is one of my absolute favorite takeaways from the source material. It's the simple shift from saying I have to I get to.
I use this all the time now, but I have to admit, at first I thought it sounded like really cheesy self-help fluff. We usually say things like, "Ugh, I have to wake up early for work," or "I have to make all these sales calls today," or "I have to cook dinner for the kids."
And just pay attention to the feeling that phrasing creates in your body. Have to. It implies a burden. It implies a lack of agency. You are being forced to do something against your will. Your brain predicts, this will be draining. This is a chore. I am a victim of my schedule.
But if you just swap that one phrase, I get to wake up early for work, I get to make sales calls today, I get to cook dinner for my family.
Suddenly, the prediction shifts from burden to opportunity. I get to wake up means I'm alive, I am healthy enough to get out of bed, and I have a job that provides for me. I get to cook means I have food in my fridge and a family that loves me and relies on me.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. Isn't this just a form of toxic positivity? Isn't it just lying to yourself? Because let's be honest, sometimes making sales calls sucks. Sometimes I really, really don't want to cook. Am I just gaslighting myself into feeling good about something that's genuinely unpleasant?
That's a really valid critique, and it's one people bring up a lot, but the text addresses this brilliantly. It says, and this is key, the key point is that both versions of reality are true.
How so?
You do have to do it, and you get to do it. Both statements are factually correct. It's a chore and it's an opportunity. But your experience of the event, your entire emotional state, depends on which truth you choose to focus on. The text says, we can find evidence for whatever mindset we choose. You aren't lying to yourself. You are consciously choosing the lens that serves you better.
There is a story in the text that really drove this home for me. It completely shut down my skepticism on this point. It's the story of the man in the wheelchair.
Yes. This is such a profound example of reframing in action. So the story goes, a guy hears about a man who has been in a wheelchair for years, and he asks the man, is it difficult being confined to that chair?
And that question comes from the have-to perspective. It assumes the chair is a prison, a confinement.
Exactly. But the man in the wheelchair looks at him and says, I'm not confined to my wheelchair. I am liberated by it. If it wasn't for my wheelchair, I would be bedbound and never able to leave my house.
Wow. Let that sink in for a minute.
It's the same physical reality. Objectively, the reality is a man sitting in a chair with wheels, but one interpretation sees a cage, the other sees a chariot. And because he chooses to see it as a vehicle for freedom, his prediction about using the chair every day is positive. He doesn't resent it, he appreciates it.
That's the power of perspective. So let's apply this to the stuff that our listeners actually hate doing, the daily grind. The text gives some really specific examples of how to reframe common struggles. Let's walk through them. First one, exercise.
A classic.
I struggle with this. My default thought is, ugh, I have to go for a run. I'm going to be tired. My legs are going to hurt. It's going to be awful.
That's the default prediction. Exercise equals a drain on my energy. The reframe is, I get to build endurance and get fast. I am charging my battery for the day, not draining it. You stop seeing it as an expenditure of energy and start seeing it as an investment in future energy.
Okay, I like that. What about finance? Saving money. This is a big one for so many people. I see a new pair of sneakers online. I want them. Telling me to save that money feels like punishment. My current prediction is, saving is sacrifice. I'm limiting my joy right now.
And that makes spending attractive and saving repulsive. The reframe. Saving is freedom. Every dollar I save is buying my future freedom. Living below my means now increases my purchasing power and my options later. I'm not depriving myself of sneakers. I'm buying myself the option to take a month off work in 5 years.
Buying freedom. I really like that. It makes the act of transferring money to a savings account feel active and powerful, not passive and boring. Okay, here's a tricky one. Meditation.
Oh, yeah.
I try to meditate. I really do.
Yeah.
I sit there and within 10 seconds, my mind is gone. I'm thinking about my laundry or that embarrassing email I sent 3 years ago that might have had a typo,
Uh-huh.
and I just get frustrated. I think I'm so bad at this. I'm distracted. I can't do it.
And that frustration comes from the prediction that distraction equals failure. The reframe here is a total reversal. Distraction is actually a good thing. In fact, it's necessary.
How can distraction be a good thing? Isn't the point to not be distracted?
The point is to practice returning from distraction. You need distractions to practice meditation. The whole point of the exercise is noticing you are distracted and gently bringing your attention back to your breath. Think of it like a bicep curl.
Okay.
If you didn't have a weight to lift, that's the distraction. You couldn't perform the curl. That's the return to the breath. Each time your mind wanders and you bring it back, that's one rep. Each distraction is a chance to practice returning to my breath.
Oh, I really like that. So if my mind gets distracted 100 times in 5 minutes, it's not that I failed. It's that I just got 100 reps in at the mental gym.
Exactly. You turn the enemy into the actual equipment you need for the workout.
This last one. Pre-game jitters, or, public speaking nerves. I feel this before every single one of these deep dives, honestly. My heart starts racing, my palms get a little sweaty, my brain immediately predicts, I am nervous, I am threatened, something bad is about to happen, I'm going to mess up.
It's a classic fear response. But physiologically, the feeling of excitement and the feeling of fear are almost identical. It's the same cocktail of hormones. High heart rate, adrenaline, heightened awareness. The only difference is the label you put on it, the reframe. I am excited. This is an adrenaline rush to help me concentrate. My body is preparing me to perform at my best. You don't try to calm down, you just relabel the energy.
So it's the same biological fuel, you're just consciously piping it into a different engine, the excitement engine instead of the fear engine.
Exactly. You're hijacking the response for your own benefit.
These reframes are incredible. They're so simple but so powerful. But I have to be the squeaky wheel here again. What if I really, really don't want to? What if the reframe isn't enough? I can sit on the couch and tell myself I get to work out. I can tell myself I'm building endurance, but my body is still glued to the couch and I just don't feel it. The motivation is at absolute zero.
And that's real. That happens to everyone. Sometimes a purely cognitive mindset shift isn't enough to jumpstart the physical engine. You need a spark. You need a trigger. This is where the source text introduces the concept of the motivation ritual.
The motivation ritual. It sounds a little bit mystical, a little woo-woo.
It does, but in a way it is. But it's based on pure, hard-nosed behavioral conditioning. We're back to Pavlov and his dogs. It's the practice of associating a simple, neutral habit with something you enjoy, or just repeating a specific sequence until that neutral thing becomes a reliable trigger for the hard thing.
The example given in the material is Ed Lattimore, who's a boxer and a writer.
Yes. And Ed noticed something really odd. He noticed that his focus and concentration for writing went up dramatically just by the act of putting on his headphones. But here's the catch. He didn't even have to play music.
Just the physical act of putting on the headphones. In silence.
Just the physical sensation of the plastic on his ears. And he wondered why. It's because he had conditioned himself over months and years. In the beginning, he would put them on, play music he loved, and then do focused work. He did this 5, 10, 50, 100 times. Eventually, his brain made a powerful prediction. Headphones on equals deep work mode. The cue became so strong that he didn't even need the music anymore. The hardware itself was enough to trigger the focus state.
He hacked his own loop. He created an artificial starting pistol for his brain.
The author mentions he did the same thing for baseball. He had this very specific stretching and throwing sequence he would do before every game. It took about 10 minutes, same exact way every single time. Physically, sure, it warmed up his arm, but mentally, it was a switch. He says, I began to associate my pregame ritual with feeling competitive and focused. Even if I wasn't motivated beforehand, by the time I was done with my ritual, I was in game mode.
So the ritual becomes the bridge.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel like playing the whole game. You just have to feel like doing the first stretch. And the stretch makes you feel like doing the next thing, which makes you feel like playing.
Precisely. You act your way into the feeling. You don't sit around and wait for motivation to strike like lightning. You summon it on command with a ritual.
There's one more specific ritual the text mentions that I think is just hilarious, but also kind of genius. I actually tried it before we started recording today. It's the happiness hack.
Ah, yes, the breathe and smile.
Walk us through this. How do we literally hack happiness?
Okay, so the idea is to create a localized, on-demand cue for joy. It's simple. Step 1, do something you genuinely, truly love. Pet your dog, take a perfectly hot shower, listen to your favorite song, eat that taco we were talking about.
Okay, easy enough.
Step 2, While you're in the peak moment of enjoying that thing, you perform a short, specific, repeatable routine. The one suggested is take 3 deep breaths and smile a big, goofy smile.
You just repeat this. Every time you pet the dog, you breathe and smile. Every time you listen to that song, you breathe and smile.
So you are wire pairing the genuine dog joy with the artificial breath and smile action?
Exactly. You are fusing those neurons together through repetition. Eventually, just the act of taking 3 deep breaths and smiling will trigger the memory of that dog joy state. It becomes a conditioned cue that means feeling happy. So later, when you're stressed out at work, or you're sad about something, or you're stuck in traffic, you can break out the ritual.
Just stop and do it.
3 deep breaths, a big smile.
Mm-hmm.
And your body, your nervous system predicts, oh, we are happy now. Okay. And it can actually shift your physiology and your mood.
It's like creating a save point in a video game. You save the happy state, and then you can reload it later with a little cheat code.
That is a fantastic analogy,
Oh,
yes. You are encoding a positive feeling into a physical gesture that you can deploy whenever you need it.
I'm definitely keeping that one in the toolkit, though I might look a little crazy smiling and breathing deeply in the middle of a stressful board meeting.
Hey, if it reduces uncertainty and relieves anxiety, it's fulfilling an ancient motive. Who cares if it looks a little weird?
That is very true. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground here. I mean, we've gone from the smoke-filled rooms of Istanbul to the evolutionary plains of the Stone Age. We've dissected the neuroscience of prediction, rewritten our internal narratives with reframing, and built rituals to summon motivation on command. I want to zoom out for a second. The source material provides a sort of cheat sheet for all of this, a clear framework. It calls it the 4 laws of behavior change.
Yes. This is the architecture of the whole system. We've been focusing really deeply on the second law today, make it attractive. But seeing where it fits in the bigger picture is incredibly helpful for the listener to tie it all together.
Let's run through the good habit loop first. So if you want to build a good habit from scratch, what's the blueprint?
Okay, it's a 4-step process. The first law is make it obvious. This is all about the cue. If you want to play guitar more, don't keep it in the case in the closet. Put it on a stand in the middle of your living room. Habit stacking is part of this too. After I brush my teeth, I will meditate for 1 minute.
Right. Make the cue impossible to miss. Then, the second law, our star today, make it attractive.
This is where you use temptation bundling. I only get to watch my favorite Netflix show while I'm on the treadmill.
You join a culture where the behavior is normal and you use those reframes we talked about. I get to do this. You want to make the craving as strong as possible.
Then, the third law, make it easy. This is about reducing friction. If you want to go to the gym in the morning, have your clothes, shoes, and water bottle packed and sitting by the door the night before. And make the first step tiny, the 2-minute rule. Just put on your running shoes. That's it.
And finally, the fourth law, make it satisfying.
Your brain needs a reward to close the loop. Give yourself a small, immediate reward. Track the habit on a calendar and feel the success of not breaking the chain. Make it feel good.
Okay. And then to break a bad habit like Mike did with the smoking, we just invert all of them.
Precisely. The anti-laws. The inversion of the first law is make it invisible. Reduce your exposure to the cue. If you eat too many cookies, don't have them in the house. If you check your phone too much, put it in another room when you're working.
Out of sight, out of mind. Simple but effective.
The inversion of the second law. Make it unattractive. This was our entire deep dive today. Reframe the mindset. Highlight the benefits of avoiding the habit. Force yourself to see that the cigarette does nothing good for you. Change the prediction from positive to negative.
The inversion of the third law, make it difficult.
Increase the friction. If you watch too much TV, take the batteries out of the remote after you use it. Unplug the PlayStation and put it in the closet after every use. Make yourself work for the vice.
And the inversion of the fourth law, make it unsatisfying.
Make the consequences immediate and painful, even if it's just a little bit. Get an accountability partner who you have to report to. Maybe you have to pay a friend $5 every time you skip a workout. Make it sting.
It's such a clean, elegant system. I love how symmetrical it is.
It's symmetrical because it perfectly mirrors how the brain actually works. The cue, the craving, the response, the reward. The 4 laws are just a user manual for how to consciously optimize each stage of that neurological loop for your own benefit.
You know, what stands out to me the most from this whole deep dive isn't just the individual tips and tricks. It isn't just put your running shoes by the door or breathe and smile. It's the philosophy behind all of it. It's this profound idea that we aren't at the mercy of our cravings. We aren't just biological robots blindly reacting to data from our senses. We are the creators of our own experience because we are the ones interpreting the data.
That is the most empowering takeaway of all. Life feels reactive, but it is actually predictive. And if you realize that you are the one writing the code for those predictions, that you have the admin password to your own brain, then you suddenly realize you are in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
You can consciously choose to change, to get to. You can change the prediction about a cigarette from stress relief to nerve destruction. You can change the meaning of a wheelchair from prison to freedom.
You can rewrite the source code.
You can. It takes attention, and it definitely takes practice. You have to catch yourself in the act of predicting, but you can absolutely reprogram your brain to find hard habits attractive and bad habits repulsive.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with a final thought. We've talked a lot about interpretation today. We said that your behavior depends on how you interpret events, not on the events themselves.
Right. The map is not the territory.
Exactly. So here is the question I want you to walk away with, and maybe, stare at the ceiling tonight thinking about. Which area of your life is currently suffering? Not because of the objective reality of the situation, but simply because you are predicting the wrong outcome.
Fine.
Where are you telling yourself a story that makes you miserable or stuck or anxious when a simple reframe could make you free?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Mull on that, try the breathe and smile, and hey, happy to go eat a taco. You've definitely earned it. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.